All right, hey everybody, J-Man here with Sean. This is the key issue that we're talking about today. Now, again, this, if you haven't seen the other ones, this isn't about a particular comic that, is the first appearance or the first costume or something. It could be that. We may tackle probably a lot of those just because, people are interested, but it's also stuff that matter to us, or if maybe one of the viewers, wanted us to look at something because it meant something to him. Anyways, that's how we're proceeding. So we're not doing 318, but we're going to be doing 319. And the reason we're doing 319, and Sean, I don't know if you know this reason. You don't know, right?
No.
Okay, so so last week or whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, Sean picked Detective 530, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was because that was your first issue of Detective Comics
Batman,
that you purchased. So this one here, and I'm going to be looking at it through the iPad because it's just easier to flip through. So when I don't know when this came out, but when I was a kid, I was, growing up in this neighborhood. In the neighborhood, it was okay, but there's going to be one or two bad seeds in there. Mm-hmm. And one particular bad seed who will remain nameless for this video, just in case, who knows, convinced me that it'd be a good idea to go to the convenience store where we used to buy comics. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, let's go get some comics. And I told him that I didn't have any money. I already spent my money on comics. And he said, well, who needs money when you've got a 5-finger discount? And I thought, I'm like, okay. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So we went and I got issue 319 for a 5-finger discount. I stole it from the convenience store, if that's not clear. So it was, I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. Like, it was so crazy. So I stole this comic, mm-hmm. and then I thought, oh my God. And I had this jean jacket that was really big that had pockets. So I would I was pretending to read some, and then I shoved it in there.
Yeah.
And we ended up going back to try to go around two, and I got caught, and my buddy didn't get caught. He ran off, right?
Yeah.
So the store owner actually gave me a few shots, which is great.
Wow.
I was like a kid.
Yeah. Different time. Yeah.
different time. So anyways, and then he called my mom, and my mom came down, and my grandfather came down, and no one was very impressed with me. And my grandfather grew up in communist Croatia. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of yelling per se. There was more this is why I shaved my head. He grabbed my sideburns, and yanked them. And if anyone has sideburns out there, go ahead and grab them and start yanking them really hard. It kills. So now the comic I showed you on screen is not the one I have. Yeah. It's not the one I stole. I actually ended up, I don't know where that is. I think I gave that away. It was very rough because we read comics back then. So that was the last item that has ever gotten a 5-finger discount.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Yeah.
Occasionally there has been some convenience store mishaps where a guy didn't scan an item, which I didn't notice, so I'm not counting those. So it was the first and last comic book that I ever stole. Valuable lesson. I love the fact that it's a comic book and it's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man doesn't stand for that kind of thing.
No.
So I got a great lesson. Spider-Man taught me a life lesson along with my grandfather and his torturing ways.
Well, a comic is a big thing, especially if you're a kid, you're shorter. So a comic is like this, right? So it's harder to steal, right?
I know. I'm so stupid. Why did I think, but I got away with it. It was when I came back. I think when I came back, the guy knew that I had taken it. So he was waiting for me to come.
He's waiting for you.
Small neighborhood. We're all living in it's a very small unit, right? Now this guy it was mostly Croatian people. This guy I think was Korean or something.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Korean owned shops in that, and there's also some German shops as well where they had German food and stuff.
Did they have surveillance video? Or?
No surveillance. No? He's just savvy, and I'm a dumb kid. I thought I was cool, right? So
just go for a box of nerds or something. It's
I know. I love nerds. FYI. Send me a box of nerds. Give me a nerds in the comment if you like nerds candy.
Yeah, I never had the courage to do that. And I always felt bad anyways. Like I can pay for the, for the comics and stuff, but yeah.
Well, the person in question who led me on this path, this very
Uh-huh.
short path, um, he started to upgrade to like GI Joe figures and stuff.
Oh wow.
Right, and he got caught not by like a convenience store guy, stealing a whatever. What was the cut price? This
But like Zellers or something, right?
he went to Zell. He went no, it was Towers.
Oh, Towers, yeah, I remember
Towers,
them.
remember Towers? Yeah, he went
Yeah.
to Towers,
Yeah.
and started to nail stuff, and you're just like, yeah, no, it was either Towers or no, I don't. Yeah, no, it was Towers. I think it was Towers and Eaton's,
Loco or something? Yeah.
and it's like, ooh, buddy, and he got nailed, but he got nailed by like the cops and stuff.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, this is just a convenience store owner. This was a $1.25 comic. The guy gave me a few shots with his fists, and he's like, you know what? And I was like, look, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. My mom, my grandfather nailed me. I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
That would never happen now. Like giving shots at
I know, I was
like
a
some
kid. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if this guy?
I mean, you learned your lesson, right? That's what it was for. He wasn't out to like maim you or something. Yeah.
And I never told my mom that he gave me shot. And so
Oh
nobody,
yeah.
yeah, nobody knows this. This is the first time this is being revealed.
Oh yeah.
So my mom doesn't watch my videos because she doesn't care about comics. But like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he beat me up. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, like, I was a kid. Anyways, so
You already told the story about the about your what was it, your grandfather and the Empire Strikes Back
yes,
thing. Yeah.
because he was so confused. We should do a video on my grandfather's like confusion with products.
Yeah.
Like, there's the
Because
picture.
if he saw the figures because he used to
Yeah.
do art with like the figures posing, and so
Right.
he's like, well, let me get those figures and shove them into the box.
No,
Right?
so no, he didn't. No. That's not what he thought.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a picture. This is off topic. Okay, so Star
Yeah,
Wars. There's like a picture of the vehicle, and then there's
Yeah.
figures standing around the vehicle. So what he would do is, because there was some assembly required for these things, right? So he would help me put them together. There wasn't really much. It's like you put a thing on or a sticker or something.
Yeah.
So he always thought of these as models, because he didn't distinguish between action figure toys and model kits.
Yeah.
So he just thought, oh, it's a model or something. And then so he would open it up before. Now he would buy the one he opened.
Mhm.
So he would
Yeah.
open it up in the store
Yeah.
and look inside to see that the components were all there.
We're all in there. Yeah.
So he's like, oh, these figurines are not in there.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, he goes, well, I already opened this one. So he's like, okay, so he would I got Boba Fett for free because I had saved one.
Yeah.
He took Boba Fett and put it in.
Yeah.
He's like, this is and I said to him, this is crazy. I was like, I don't think it goes like that. I think you're supposed to buy that on its own. He's like, no. He goes, it's on the picture. In Croatian, he's like, it's on the picture. And then the other guys he couldn't find, and he's like, because there's more than just Boba Fett on there. And he goes, well, we're just not gonna get this. It's like, no, I really want this. He's like, but they're missing these figures. I was like, I don't care, I want it. So then he bought it, and I got a free Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But he didn't think that was stuffed. He's like, no, it's on the picture. I was like,
Yeah.
But they're trying to make it look like it's something cool.
Yeah.
It's great. All right. So Amazing Spider-Man 319.
Right.
Another important thing about this is that I love Scorpion. I always thought he was wicked because I like green. Green's my favorite color. Vulture's my favorite, but Scorpion I always thought was awesome. And this was like, I mean, out of all the comics that were available to, pick at, this was like, I was like, oh my God, like,
Fights Rhino and there's like Backlash. And,
like all these cool guys. Then later on, I did get this one as well. And now these are both really nice condition. I picked up at like a proper comic shop or whatever.
Yeah.
But so when I did read this because when we were kids, we actually read the comics. And I would go through, and I thought this one was great because there's a lot of Spider-Man action.
Yeah.
And a lot of Scorpion action. Yeah. And this is Todd McFarlane, who I really like Todd McFarlane a lot. If you asked me in that time, who's your favorite Todd McFarlane, I didn't know his name. I just knew this Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like the thick webs with the weird lining around them. I don't know if that was Todd McFarlane who came up with that webbing.
He did. I feel like he did because like this is like 1989, right? Yeah. It's funny because when I went back to this comic, that sort of art style looks more modern to me. When I think of the 80s, I think of the old house style with like the clean lines and stuff. So this is I'm pretty sure he's the guy who came up with that weird webbing. He really revolutionized the look of Spider-Man because
Mhm.
he was like, well, he's an arachnid. Well, he's got arachnid like powers, right? So when he swings, he should really his limbs should be all over the place and
Yeah.
stuff. So he revolutionized that look, and also the webbing should look more kind of creepy webbing,
Yep.
not just a line, but with like stuff around it
Yeah,
and
it's like
all
it's
that.
thicker and it's like all like it's like you
Yeah,
know? Uh,
yeah,
and I also this is the first time where I started to really notice like panel arrangements.
right. They got a lot more stylistic with it back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't just like because I mean there's the 4 or the 6 or the
yeah,
9 configurations. Like it was always just like and if you're reading digitally and you go like that and a lot of people like on Comixology, if you zoom in like that here
yeah.
and you can see that whoa like this seems very like whoa everything is like
Yeah.
so
And
different.
I
Whereas
think that's Todd McFarlane doing that too,
I
right?
I
Like
I
he's the one
believe so.
paneling it and stuff like that, and they're like, "Wow, this is really dynamic. What the
It's
heck?"
very
Yeah,
I know Todd McFarlane, and when his Spider-Man series started, the
yeah,
solo series, I literally bought them all, and I went up to number 40, but he quit after 16 and did
yeah.
Image.
That was the only that was the last comic I remember where I was excited for the next issue. Like,
Yes,
and all the kid like we would talk about it as though it's a TV show. It's like I
yeah.
can't wait. What do you think is gonna happen? Like
No, I know.
stuff like that, right?
I think
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane is like dynamic, man. Like he's very exciting. I love the
Yeah,
villain.
I mean, with direction, I wouldn't say Spawn was the most exciting comic.
That's the
I read
writing.
it. I read it. It's
Me
cool,
too.
but I think he needs some hand holding a bit, and that's what Spider-Man and Marvel sort of did for him, which he
Right.
didn't realize he needed because I don't think he ever really has said this, but like I don't think Spawn name a Spawn story. Like I can't. I read all of them. I can't remember anything from that.
I had Spawn 1 to 50.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
That's when
and
that was the heyday of Spawn.
and
Yeah,
I don't
and even then, around that time, he left, and then another guy came in, and it looked the same. The art looked the same, but it was like, oh, if you're not doing Spawn anymore, then why am I reading it? You know?
yeah, it wasn't. I don't. When I'm talking about Todd McFarlane, I'm talking about art and panel arrangement and like
Yeah,
storytelling through the art,
yeah,
not the story.
yeah,
Todd McFarlane to me is like awesome artist for
yeah.
specific things like Spider-Man. Like he did Hulk as well, which I really like as well.
Right. Yeah. Before that. Yeah.
But like Spider-Man and Todd, that was like boom. Like
Yeah.
I mean, if you had like I don't know who like picked something like if it was like Peter David is the best for Hulk. Like the writing, Peter David, Hulk together, even Maestro, which he just did now, perfect.
Yeah.
Tom McFarlane, pretty good for Hulk. Maybe someone else would have been even better. But if you got like the perfect writer of Spider-Man and Tom McFarlane together, that's like unbeatable. Like that's like super awesome. Now he
Yeah.
did have hand holding, as you said, in the Spider-Man solo series, which was good. And then this is the reason why he broke from that because he didn't like the fact that he was being held back or whatever. But
Yeah.
I
They
felt
didn't
that
let him put a knife in Juggernaut's
Juggernaut,
eye. Yeah.
yeah, Shatterstar is stabbing Juggernaut, and it's like, well, in the comic it's like this, but
Yeah.
he actually had it drawn like in,
Oh yeah.
like
In. Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't want that. And I mean, seriously, who cares? Like, this is getting into this, like, let's try to make it gritty just for the heck of it. This is normal. This is still normal Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm not reading this and being like, wow, this is insane. But it's very interesting to me. And like, I always loved this page of like,
Yes. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I remember this panel just going through the villains because
yeah,
there's all sorts of obscure guys in there, like that frog guy and all that. Yeah.
yeah, like who Leapfrog or whatever. And it's not
Leapfrog.
Batroc. It's not Batroc the Leaper. Like, why do we need several
No, I don't. Well, he's deceived. They say he's inactive or something like
inactive?
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I liked about this, and this storyline was cool. The things I liked about it is that I like Justin Hammer. It was just like he just says a dick or
Mhm.
whatever. And I
Yeah.
love that Scorpion gets this upgraded armor,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing what he wants." So
Yeah.
Scorpion is recruited. He's upgraded by Hammer,
Yeah.
and then he's sent to capture this general or something.
Hmm.
I read 318 and 319. So he's supposed to capture this general.
Mhm.
But as usual, Scorpion goes right back into his default mode of, I don't like Jameson, I'm pissed off at him.
Yeah.
So he gets right back into that default setting of his, which is great. And he's like, okay, and Justin Hammer's like, well, what the heck? I just upgraded this guy. So then he's got to send more guys out, and that's when he gets backlash. No, what is it? Who does he get? Rhino.
Rhino and Backlash.
And it's Blacklash.
It's Backlash, Whiplash. It's the same guy, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So he gets the Rhino and he gets Blacklash, and then to get Scorpion. But in the meantime, Spider-Man's caught in the middle, and this is this is a perfect cover to symbolize what's happening. Spider-Man's caught in the middle of this battle here.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking this is so wicked because it's like Scorpion, Rhino, and then Blacklash is like in between or whatever. So yeah, there's like this great little fight here. And then that's what I liked about it. And then I thought Mary Jane looked pretty sexy in
well,
this.
I remember Todd McFarlane would really sex her up and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's in the height of like, well, then why is Peter Parker with her? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And she's supposed to be on a shoot, but she's at a party somewhere. So I don't know if she's trying to hide something or. I remember the Caesar storyline. It's a dude that who's stalking her. I remember she confronts him in like a B story. And like Spider-Man doesn't really do anything with that, but she confronts him, and then I think he dies somehow. Like I think he kills himself or something like that. I remember all that stuff. It was all coming back to me. All this stuff, like
as you're going through.
Well, yeah, so like back then they had a whole library of satellite characters for Spider-Man that aren't around today. Like Nick Katzenberg, remember that guy? He was
yes,
like a kind of a portly sleazy guy that worked for the Planet, and he would try to steal stories from Peter Parker, and at one point he like keys a car and like he's satisfied with himself, all that stuff. But like the Stalker character, like there's just like a few panels dedicated to this in this issue, but like I remember that was a whole thing that Mary Jane confronted. And had almost nothing to do with Spider-Man. So,
she's going through stuff here because she can't get a gig. Like she gets fired from a gig. In this one, so this issue, again, they sexed her up, which is great for the boys reading it. But it made me not like her. This is where I started to really be like, well, I've got my problems. I can't get this modeling gig. I'm like, whatever. Spider-Man's being threatened here, like he's gonna die and everything, and I'm like, who cares about your stupid modeling?
Yeah.
And this is in the time now. Like I didn't care about Mary Jane before. Now in this time, I'm like, okay, well they've sexed her up. It's like, okay, well that's good for the teenage boys reading, but unfortunately, I don't give a crap about what she's going through.
Right.
I don't know if that was I don't know. So the sexing her up didn't help anything really. It's like for a visual page, you're like, okay, this is a nice page. But I don't care.
Yeah, around this time, maybe after this, she was in a soap opera. Remember that? And because of that, she was on billboards all over the city. And so whenever Spider-Man was on patrol, he'd see these big billboards of her and stuff. I think that's where the Stalker really came in because you could see her on TV and stuff. But yeah, that stuff. It's not that it wasn't relatable. It just wasn't. It wasn't part of Spider-Man's world to me.
Yeah.
It's like. We've talked about this before in something else, but like I accept Clark and Lois being together because they work in the same thing in the same industry and they're more relatable to each other. Like they can relate to each other that way. But here it's like Mary Jane is doing modeling gigs and she's in a soap opera and stuff, and he's a reporter, and it doesn't make any. What do they talk about? Like, how can they really relate to each other? Like, I'm sure it's a thing, but like, they don't seem like they're in the same world together. Whereas Lois and Clark always seemed like they were in the same world together,
Yeah, Lois and Clark, I got to think about this for a second, but I think that's the only like relationship I ever cared about. Like in all comics, it might still be true today. Like,
well,
maybe Scott and
Dinah
Jean.
Lance and Green Arrow.
Yeah, that's all right.
To me, I accepted them as a couple.
Scott and Jean, obviously, they're like my
favorite.
So Scott and Jean, Lois Clark, I guess Black Canary, Green Arrow, maybe.
Yeah.
And then other than that, it's like, I don't know. I can't, like, Peter Parker, Mary Jane, or Peter Parker, Gwen. I don't really care about any of his girlfriends, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Gwen made more sense, but they killed
She was
her
probably
off,
the
and then
best.
the whole Mary Jane thing came in. And the thing is, I can never really accept the Mary Jane Peter Parker relationship. But to me, that doesn't necessitate the whole one more day storyline. Like that's stupid. Just make it work. Like where they erased it, and it's like, well, that's dumb. I mean,
Yeah.
what should have happened, and I've said this before in something else, I think, but what should have happened is what you showed with Peter Parker was a guy who matured into manhood. So continue that. He gets married, okay, then has kids, right? Like that should have been what happened
Yeah.
with those two, but that never really happened. Gwen Stacy made more sense, but they killed her off.
Killed her off. Yeah.
And now there's a Spider Gwen. I don't know. I'm not really keeping up with the modern
There's too
Spider-Man
many
comics.
Spider-Man books. I had to pick because I love Spider-Man, but I just picked X-Men because it just seemed more exciting to me. And
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm reading the same thing because the X-Men books, each one is its own thing. Excalibur's fantasy, like X Factor's investigation,
Yeah.
X-Force is the action one, right? It's like every single one is a different thing. Hellions is like all the demons and stuff. So it's
Is Excalibur the same roster as the classic one?
Excalibur is Betsy Braddock. So
Okay.
Psylocke is now like there's
Yeah.
Psylocke and Captain Britain, like Betsy, like
Okay.
she's on her own. So
Yeah.
she's Captain Britain. She's with Rogue, Richter, Gambit, Jubilee. Who else is on that team? Apocalypse is in the book, but not really.
I liked Excalibur, so I was like, oh, should I read this one?
The new Excalibur is the goddamn best, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hellions, Excalibur, like that's like can't wait to read the next one for me. I don't know why. I was not an Excalibur guy. I have a few issues, but I don't know what happened. I'm just like right into it. But I wanted to show. I showed this earlier. Like here, you look at this craziness.
Yeah. His legs are always up in the air, and
his legs are way like
I like that this
is
issue
a famous
begins.
Shot.
But yeah,
like that's
this
like a Todd McFarlane shot.
This issue begins in a very Spider-Man way, where he has to deliver pizza to Scorpion. He's like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and Scorpion's like, I get hungry when I get when I have hostages and stuff. It's like,
how great is that?
Yeah,
that is so
like that's
cool.
a very Spider-Man thing. Like that's what made it really great back then. It's like you're not getting that from any other comic, right?
No, I know. Yeah, and I mean, like every page is so good on this.
Yeah.
Like like let me see if I can even that's awesome. And then again the way they arrange the panels. Now Todd McFarlane's faces, he's always people kind of make fun of his faces sometimes.
I remember when they switched over to Eric Larson.
Yeah.
And Eric Larson to me was basically another Todd McFarlane. Like he did the squiggly lines and all that stuff. I don't know if he was trying to imitate Todd McFarlane or that's just him. Because when he did Savage Dragon, it was the same kind of thing. So yeah.
Again, Eric Larson's one of these guys where I don't like Savage Dragon. That's perfect.
That's been going on since.
It's been going on.
That's like one of the only Image characters that's remained from that era. Because, like where's Wildcat? Yeah.
I'll tell you. We can do a video on this. Savage Dragon, and I only read the first maybe 10 or something I collected.
Yeah.
But Savage Dragon was the only guy who was a guy that I couldn't pinpoint who they stole from. Like nothing against Image. Like I know he had the fin, and what's his name has that fin. Despero. Or no?
Oh yeah, I don't know. But Savage Dragon was a guy that he created way before Image. That's probably why. It was his guy. He probably doodled him in high school and stuff. And
Right. And it shows. It's like he's a cop. He's like this big tough cop. He's got the green fin and all that. It's like that's cool. And that we hadn't seen a cop really.
A cop superhero, which makes sense. It's like what profession you want to be? Well, probably a cop.
Exactly.
You're fighting crime. Yeah.
Like the Image comics that stood out to me back then as like this is really neat is Savage Dragon.
Yeah.
I liked Cyber Force, even though there's a couple of rip-off characters in that. And then I liked the Max because that was just like
it was weird and they made a weird show too. Yeah.
The show was weird. I've got that on DVD.
Yeah.
And I had it on VHS too. That was very weird. And to me, it's like, okay, Image is not Marvel. The ones that people like, I like Rob Liefeld. I like, what's his name?
Yeah, but like Youngbloods was like Avengers mishmash with X-Men, and it was crazy. Yeah. No, Rob Liefeld, it's no fair to talk about him in relation to like stuff stolen, because that's all he did, right? Here's the Wolverine guy, here's the Batman guy, here's Spawn looked like Spider-Man any way you sliced him. He had the big eyes thing. What else?
And he had the Batman cape with the Ghost Rider chain.
And everyone else, and I tried to get into Image. We all did. The problem was they couldn't stick to scheduling. So it's like in 4 years, Youngbloods had like 7 issues, and like I tried to get into Wetworks.
Yes.
And I only collected like 2 issues. That came out really sporadically. So all that's, even Wildcats, like Jim Lee is now hailed as a legend now, and he's in charge of DC. But like Wildcats came out whenever it wanted to, and then there was a cartoon, and it's like, but like, why don't you build on the comics first, and then you could do your action figures and cartoons, right? So
the thing is, this is what happens, and maybe we can do an Image thing, but this is what happens when you get a bunch of young guys who don't have, they're like, oh, we're going to go do whatever we want. Okay, that's
they don't have a work ethic.
They don't have a work ethic.
Yeah.
Like this, and they're like, oh,
Eric Larson did, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, we don't like this rigidness, this editor breathing down my neck and all this and telling me what to do. It's like, yeah, but he's getting shit done. Like, if I don't go every month and get my Spider-Man comic and you're missing comics, it's like, well, where's my Spider-Man? You miss like 3 months of Spider-Man, it's over. You're like, okay, well, I moved on to Punisher.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, Spider-Man's back. Well, I don't know. What happened last time again? I don't remember. Like, it's like kids have, when there's so much out there, and now there's so much out there. But even
in the 90s, there's like tons. Yeah.
There's tons out there. It's like kids are I lost interest very quickly. And I literally went every Wednesday. This is why I don't want to knock Image. I went every Wednesday and bought everything that they released.
Yeah.
And then there was that one Wednesday where you're like, hey, why didn't, where's Wildcats? Where's Youngblood?
And there was Ultraverse, there's the Valiant Universe. Right. It was too much. Yeah. And it's like, you know what? If you're not servicing my needs here, then I'll go on to like, Valiant was doing good stuff at the time.
Yep.
Archer and Armstrong. And it was good.
I don't know. And you can almost pinpoint it to the day. Like this Wednesday, these books didn't come out. These 4 were supposed to come out. They didn't come out. And you could see
I bought these other things. Yeah.
You could see in my collection that's where I stopped. Like, Youngblood number 9. I stopped, Savage Drag or whatever. I don't know, like, Brigade number 7. Like wherever it didn't come out, I'm like, well, I'm done now. And then I'm like, and then you start going back. You're like, you know what? Spider-Man's the best. Let's just go back to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And you with new characters, you have to keep pumping them. And everywhere I go, there has to be Spawn. It can't be like they release 1 issue out of order or something. It's like,
they released 2 issues out of order to show up Diamond distributors or something like that. It's like, that's stupid. Like, I was explaining how that worked, and then I forgot how. But anyways,
and I didn't, and that's where that ended. Okay, so back to this.
Yeah. Back to this. Yes.
But yeah, I love Scorpion in these 2 issues.
He's formidable here. He used to be just a D-list guy, but I remember as a kid looking at this, and it's like, he could shoot stuff from his stinger and everything, and yeah.
Justin Hammer upgrading. This is one of these ones where the upgrade made Scorpion way better.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they I don't like the shoulder things on Rhino, like that.
No, but I like also with Scorpion's tail, he can like strangle people and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's got the pincher thing, so he could stab, he could shoot.
Yeah.
Scorpion, and this is 10 out of 10. I love him. I love the way he looks. I love the way Todd McFarlane draws him. I like the coloring. I don't know who did the colors. I like the coloring of Scorpion. Scorpion's one of my top guys in my top 5. He's great. Rhino, who I like Rhino. He's okay, but like I wasn't into this like.
Then it looks more like armor now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. And then Blacklash, I mean, whatever. He looks neat because he's got that big cape.
Backlash, it's Backlash, Whiplash, whatever the heck he is.
It's
Now
black.
he has like what?
BL. It's
Is it
BL.
Blacklash?
Blacklash.
Really? Is it?
It's yeah. And it says it on the cover
Okay,
too.
wait, man. I'm gonna.
Look.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Blacklash. What the hell? Is
But I wanted
that
to show
now
you
the
this.
same as Backlash and Whiplash, or no?
I have no idea. I want to show you the cape. This is where we start getting this Todd McFarlane cape.
Right.
Right?
Spottish cape, yeah.
It's like this crazy.
Oh yeah, it was always Blacklash. Okay, I thought it was Backlash.
So did I.
Good God.
The only reason I know it's not is because I looked at this cover just as we were filming. Just as we started.
Well, why not just keep him Whiplash? Okay, whatever.
Is it the same character?
I thought it was. Igor Vanko. Oh,
Marvel
you know what? It's
guys.
Igor Vanko or Anton Vanko. Whatever.
I don't know who it is. Anyway, but the point is that like, and this is one of these ones where, again, the cover symbolizes, it's a cool cover, but it is also showing you like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of comics now, they just have like a cool cover.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's cool. But like, this is back in the day where like you had text, you know, you actually had like text on the cover too.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Like, it's like, you know, he's like, you double cross Justin Hammer, now you must die. You're like, oh my God.
That's like an 80s, well, a 60s, 70s, and 80s thing. And like that kind of thing went away in the 90s where they just put a picture of a guy or something. Yeah.
Right. And I liked this because I felt that I'm like, oh, like you don't judge a book by its cover. And back then you didn't, like, when I bought this, you didn't have these backings.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was like literally on a spinner rack, as Rob Liefeld always talks about.
You pick it up and
Or it was in like one of those, like magazine rack things.
Yeah, it was on the magazine shelving. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like this because you'd pick it up and you'd be like, okay, well, what am I getting? You're like, all right. Well, first it tells you twice a month, so you're good on that. You're like, all right, twice a month. And you'd be like, okay, yeah. Oh, this is Justin Hammer. Oh, yeah, he double crossed him. Yes. And it's like, again, the John Byrne or whoever, any comic can be your first comic. So this is your first comic that you've ever picked up. You know, just from the cover, you got a little bit of a thing. Okay, so I guess somebody betrayed Justin Hammer. These guys are going to go at it. Spider-Man's caught in the middle of this villain battle.
And it's perfect.
And it tells you the main event right here, who's going to fight. You got McFarlane's signature.
Yeah.
This is also why I started to notice the McFarlane signature.
Like, that signature,
Yeah, that little scroll.
Well, he pops it out by putting it on a banner. Kind of thing.
Which is good. I like that.
Yeah.
So to me, this was like perfect. Like, this is what I'm looking. This is like almost exactly what I'm looking for in comics right now. You have a cool story, some good art, everything looks good. And then I like also, just as a side note, the way that these two really go together.
Right.
Like, look at the way, like, the white background, and it's like
okay. Yeah.
Like, this looks like this was the next issue.
Like of a piece. Yeah.
Of a piece, right?
Yeah.
And like, like, look at that.
Yeah.
Like, just that section, right? You're like, yes.
Yeah, it looks the same kind of thing. Yeah.
This is the same. These go together.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, and it's like, yeah, Scorpion, deadlier than ever. Oh my God. What the hell? He didn't have this. He didn't have this before. And,
Yeah, I know.
And it's like Spider-Man's just barely escaping. And then, oh no, Spider-Man's been captured. So if you're flipping through these, you're like, holy shit, this is the next one, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that. I like that. And I don't know if they're not doing that as much. Sometimes, like nowadays, in the newer issues, they just, when you open up the book, it just tells you, like, previously, which is okay.
Yeah.
That's
they used
good.
back in these days, and they didn't do it as much here, but there used to be like a page or something where they just go through that's more of a 70s thing.
That's a 70s thing.
And here you can easily pick up what's happening just from the dialogue. You don't really need I think, I know, I guess they're still doing it. Like at one point it was on the inside cover. Yeah. It was just like the players and like, and all that stuff. But I don't feel you really need to do that all the time. Also, this is from a time when comics were fun. I don't. Yeah. It's like, to me, a lot of the covers even reflect this with comics nowadays. It's just it's more of a chore. It's like, here's another Spider-Man, and there's nothing dynamic on the cover. But the covers for Spider-Man was always like who are these guys? And you have like an arrow with like the text in the arrow. It's like, it's like
yeah.
Spider-Man's got his work cut out for him or whatever. I ran across one where it's like Spider-Man has female trouble, and it's like the femme fatales or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like,
like here's just a random Immortal Hulk issue.
Yeah, what's this about? It's just Hulk posing with stuff on him.
Yeah, and like leaders in the background. And like, I mean, look, it's Alex Ross. Nobody's gonna say that this isn't awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's sick.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like what is happening now. Actually, Superman. This is the latest issue of Superman.
Okay.
So that's pretty pumped up.
Mm-hmm.
I find that DC, like if you just look at a random DC, it seems to be a little bit more like here's a Batman one.
Yeah. Okay. So he's confronting was it Killer Croc?
Yeah. Killer Croc. So, and there's guys in behind too. You can't tell, but there's like
okay.
There's like guys in behind. So I like that, but yeah, it doesn't. DC seems to be doing it more. Marvel's more just like the cover's just there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, or it's like, or it's just like, I can't really, like, I mean, look, I love Daredevil, but like, it's just like Daredevil.
Okay.
Right?
What's this one about?
Again, it looks nice. The coloring is nice.
It looks good, but it's like, well, that was my problem with the short-lived Marvel the digest that they had at the Walmarts, and the thing, or like anywhere. My problem with the covers, I think part of what killed that was that the covers didn't really pop. Like the Archie ones, and Archie did produce the Marvel ones. Yep. The Archie ones, they're colorful. They have little call outs to different things that are in that issue. And when DC, to your point, when DC did the 100-page giants and put those out in Walmart, they were fun and colorful and had like the different stories and different characters that you'd see on the cover. And so it's like, wow, what's it? It's like it done like the old style where like, it's like, with Green Arrow and stuff too. It's like, what's Wonder Woman doing? And the Marvel ones is just, here's a picture of the Avengers. Okay. And it's on a white background. It's flat and lifeless. Here's Thor. Yeah.
Like we're getting Rhino, Scorpion, Black Lash, Spider-Man, all fighting. So if you're a Rhino fan, you're getting this. If you're a Scorpion fan, you're getting it, right? If you're Spider-Man, like it doesn't even, this is still symbolic because this is not a panel.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a panel from within.
No, this is what's going to happen. It's funny because all that happens towards the end, and I was getting to the end of this issue and like, are they going to be in this? And when they're there aren't that many pages left, but there's a lot of action. Yep. And you get your money's worth, and the promise of that cover is realized. So and that's the thing. And it's like, I'm not seeing, and this is exciting because you know what you're going to get. You're like, wow, this looks really cool. I'm going to get this. The Marvel Digest ones were awful. Yeah.
And the Thor collection is the actual comic.
The collection itself was awesome, but nothing tells you that that's in there.
No, and the cover,
like featuring,
is awful.
Thor's gonna fight the whatever that guy's name was, and like Thor journeys into this thing, and like that should have been on that cover, and it's not. It's just a flat, lifeless like picture of Thor with a white background. Like, okay, well, this isn't exciting. I'm not buying this.
I know.
I bought them, but
I know I bought them too. Well, you got them for me,
yeah.
The Thor content was 10 out of 10. The Thor cover was 0. It was the worst one, and it was probably the best for the content. And I'm like, why is this so awful garbage? Like the guy who drew that Thor is fine. Like
it looks good.
But it's like it's just Thor, and you're like,
it's a good picture. It doesn't sell.
It doesn't
sell what's inside the comic.
This sells. Yeah. This provokes kids to steal it because they need it so badly. And they're like, we need this in our lives. It's so like,
okay. When this happened, you kept the comic, right?
I know I did. I got caught I went back for round 2 and I got nailed then.
Okay,
so he said that he saw me the last time but let it go.
So did it turn you off looking at that comic anymore or no?
Oh hell no.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to turn me off comics. I read it all the time. I loved it. I ended up giving it away. So someone's got stolen property. I'm not going to say who because one of my buddies, I ended up, I either gave it to that friend or I may have it, but it's in my storage unit, and I'm like, I'm just not going to go dig it out. I found it, but the copy was brutal. Like this is before, I used to just keep comics like, you put like a piece of like elastic tape around them or something, or you put it in like a binder or some kind of thing like that. Like I remember I bought those sheets where you put them in binder sheets, and I would put them in that, so you would make like a flip book.
Yes.
Comics, and then I put them all in order, and then I'd flip. Yeah, I did that. So that comic is really brutal. I rebought these in nice editions. Actually, the comic shop near me, I'm not going to tell you. Well, I'm not going to tell you which comic shop, Sean, because you're going to go buy this before me. Is that they collected all the Amazing Spider-Man Todd McFarlane issues in one pack.
Oh God, yeah.
So, and it's only $90. So I might just 90.
Really?
That's nothing.
Wow, man.
So I might just buy that. I had it in my hand the other day, but my credit card bill this month is outrageously high because of I just switched around my insurances. I have to pay up front for a lot of stuff. I'm going to probably get that like next weekend or the weekend after. I'm going to buy that whole pack of all the time. And I'll get doubles of this, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's fine.
But that's the reason why we picked this. I think that's the next one we'll pick. I don't know what the next one we're going to do. We'll figure something out. Maybe we'll do like a more generic key issue thing. But
I had some ideas, but
so send me your ideas and we'll just pick whatever. It doesn't matter to me because I buy everything. If I can't get the physical issue, I buy it through Comixology for $1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of the digital comics. I know some people are really against them, but $1, I have the book. It's good to go.
Yeah.
I can read it right. Like
me too. The convenience of it, and like you get it right there.
Get it right there.
I don't have any hangups about reading on Comixology. I think a lot of people had a lot of misconceptions about, because when they first came out, it would narrate everything to you and all that stupidness. Really, all of the comics I have don't have that. It's just the comics, and it's great to have like big collections and like old stuff, and like they put new things on there all the time, right? So
like I recently got Fighting American, the original Jack Kirby, Joe Simon stuff.
They just added asterisks recently.
Oh wow!
Cool. So I'm getting back into that. So that's pumped up.
So for me, it's like, I mean, even with Detective, I checked. Oddly enough, they have Detective like 532. Like they had like 531, 532, but they didn't have 530. At my shop, so I was like, I'll just get it on digital, whatever. It's like, this one I happen to have on digital and in physical because I just had it, but like I don't have 320, for example. I have 320 on my iPad, but I had a lot of the assassination. What was it called? Assassination games.
I have a lot of that too. I know what you're talking about. It's Assassin, and then Nation is
So I had those physical as a kid as well. But,
and that's around this time, right?
That's around this time, exactly. That's why I mentioned that. But that's all now on digital, which I have it's like the Epic collection. You get the whole thing.
Oh yeah. The best was Return to Sinister Six.
Yes.
That was the best story, man.
So I
remember us talking about that in recess and stuff. It's like
So and that was the die.
That was the last one. Yeah.
So I actually had that entire thing in physical as well. Which I don't have. I gave that away. I just gave everything. All my comics were beat up. So I thought, you know what? If I'm gonna get a good collection, I'll just get a good. I kept a few things when I was a kid, just to have some memory of it. There's a friend of mine whose son was really into Spider-Man, so I just gave him. I don't know if I gave him this exact issue that we're talking about now, but I gave him the assassination thing.
Yeah, I gave away a lot of comics too. Like the kid next door was into Spider-Man and stuff, so I had like a ton, and I had a lot of the collected volumes.
Yep.
And I've given a lot of that away as well, especially a lot of Venom stuff. Like there's a foil embossed one and it was a lot of the Todd McFarlane Venom stuff. The one where he crushes a guy's head against his chest. I always remember that.
Yeah. And they're not really like in the condition that you and I had these comics in. They're not worth anything.
They're not great, and plus a lot of them are not direct sales comics. I don't know if that's a big thing in the collector's market now. It used to be a big deal. Like people would be like, I only collect the direct sales ones, right?
Yeah. So so direct sales. Okay. So is that
what you have is direct sales?
So This
That's
one?
not direct sales. That's a
Yes.
convenience store one.
So that's
That's
direct.
direct sales. Yeah.
Yeah. So convenient. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
the
it's
one with barcodes is and a lot of my old Marvel stuff is barcode because I would buy them at convenience stores, right?
yeah, me too.
Like I bought entire lines and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So you're supposed to get the ones that don't have barcodes.
Yeah, but does that matter anymore? I don't
No,
think
because
people
I
care
never pay
anymore.
attention to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never I remember. I'm only remembering because I think they never did this, but you would scan. You know, you scan a barcode, so it's like that's like a convenience store thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I don't even think they did that. Did they? Did they scan it? I guess they would have.
In a convenience store? Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like they would have. That's the whole point why it's there.
It's there,
For
yeah.
for direct sales, they just order an amount and
Yes.
then just send back whatever wasn't sold or whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. So yeah, I had fun reminiscing about this issue. I like the issue anyway, so
Yeah.
it was a good book, and it was something personal to me. But so next we'll try to do something a little bit different. So get next time. If anyone has any suggestions or wants us to look at something, let us know. I would be interested even if we have a fan out there, we can always do it. If it's something that's feasible, we could do something where we could do a 3-way Zoom call.
Yeah.
And talk about something that they want. If I'm throwing that out there to anybody, if they want to try something like that, I'm open to that. But anyway, all right. I think we'll wrap up for there. Anything else, Sean, on this last thing? Or
No, this is awesome, man. I looked up the year. Yeah, it's September 1989.
89? So I was born in 77, so I was like 11.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. It's a blast from the past. I especially love that panel with all the supervillains on it.
Yeah, that's the best panel. I was like so excited because I'm like, oh man, that guy, yeah, get that guy,
yeah.
Constrictor or whatever, like, yeah, get him. But
yeah.
All right, okay, well that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.